Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. So this week, we are heading to Modern to get a little bit aggressive, but doing so in a little bit different of a way. Instead of just playing creatures or playing burn spells, we're kind of combining two different decks together to play Blue-Red Prowess, which is an archetype that's been around for a while, but got a huge boost in power thanks to a new card from Ixalan. So as you can see, $94 in the paper world, 31 ticks on Magic Online. So a really stellar price, really cool budget deck. A quick reminder before we break down Blue-Red Prowess for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you enjoy Budget Magic in general, it would be awesome of you if you could take a quick second, click that subscribe button down in the corner of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk some Blue-Red Prowess, starting with the 1-drop. So part of the power of this deck is we now have not just Monastery Swiftspear, but also Soul Scar Mage thanks to Amonkhet, which is kind of a functional Monastery Swiftspear. I think Swiftspear is generally better thanks to haste, but this means we have 8 1-drops that are 2/1s with prowess, and these cards are just super strong in our deck. Swiftspear starts chipping in damage right away thanks to haste. Soulscar Mage a little bit slower, but the wither damage clause can actually be relevant. But mostly, we want to just play these cards, and then we start casting spells, chaining them together. So suddenly, Swiftspear is a 2/3. Then a 3/4, Soulscar Mage is a 4/5, and then we just get in huge chunks of damage right away thanks to our prowess creatures. The rest of our creature base, Stormchaser Mage, gives us a kind of flying Monastery Swiftspear, costs an additional mana, it costs us a blue mana along with the red mana, but it comes down with flying and haste, and it's a 1/3, which actually means it's pretty tricky to kill. Opponents will try to Lightning Bolt it, try to Lightning Helix it, and then if we can just cast one spell, the toughness goes up to 4, avoids the removal spell. So not only does this get in a bunch of damage, it gets in evasive damage, which means it's much more guaranteed to get in through blockers than our Swiftspears and our Soulscar Mage. Young Pyromancer is a little bit different. It's not aggressive in the same way as Monastery Swiftspear or Soulscar Mage or Stormchaser Mage. Instead of kind of going tall with our prowess triggers and making our creature bigger, Young Pyromancer lets us go wide by making a bunch of tokens, which is actually really helpful in some matchups. So think about how this deck plays. We want to be attacking every single turn. Swiftspear, Soulscar Mage, Stormchaser Mage, much better when they are going at our opponent's face attacking. Young Pyromancer gives us a way to kind of gum up the board and not die on the backswing. Maybe our opponent's playing Thought-Knot Seers and other big creatures like that, Tarmogoyfs and Death Shadows. We can keep attacking with our prowess creatures, and as we're casting spells to pump our prowess creatures, we're getting these 1/1 elementals. Sure, maybe in some situations we just go really wide and start attacking with them to win the game, but most of the time having the elementals as chump blockers in this steady stream of 1/1s to just keep fending off our opponent's attackers lets us keep staying aggressive with our other creatures, which are better at attacking, while also not dying on the backswing to our opponent's creatures. We can make blockers by surprise at instant speed thanks to Young Pyromancer. So this is our creature base. This is kind of the way we win the game. But to make this work, we need to cast a lot of spells. So what spells are we casting to trigger prowess on all of our 1-drops, our Stormchaser Mage, to make tokens with Young Pyromancer? Well, we start off with a new addition to Modern, which is one of the reasons this deck is so powerful now, and that is Opt. Opt might not look like much, but it is another instant speed cantrip, which means not only is this not costing us a card and triggering all of our prowess creatures, but it's doing it at instant speed. So our opponent goes to block, they think they have profitable blocks lined up. Suddenly we cast an opt, maybe we opt into something else we can cast, we trigger prowess on all of our creatures, getting huge chunks of damage. So opt is really key to this deck. But opt by itself isn't quite enough. We also have Serum Visions, which doesn't have the instant speed upside, but it gives us another 1-mana cantrip. So part of the way we win with this deck is just play a Swiftspear, play a Soulscar Mage, get some Prowess creatures out, and then just Serum Visions into Opt, into another Serum Vision. Suddenly we got 3 or 4 or 5 Prowess triggers all in one turn, and our creatures are not attacking for 1 damage each. They're attacking for 5 damage each and just killing our opponent out of nowhere thanks to chaining cantrips together. We have some burn spells as well. Lightning Bolt is the best. It's just 1 mana, trigger Prowess, 3 damage to something, which means we're either getting a blocker out of the way so we can hit with all of our Prowess creatures, or we're just 3ing our opponent's face Lava Spike style, which is good as well. Rift Bolt is a little weird because it's kind of slow and our opponent can see it coming, but it does do a good imitation of Lightning Bolt, and sometimes waiting a turn is profitable. Sometimes we want to suspend a Lightning Bolt or two, play a Soulscar Mage, and know that on our next turn we're going to be getting those Prowess triggers to power up our Soulscar Mage or our other creatures. Gutshot doesn't look that powerful, but it is a free Prowess trigger that also deals 1 damage. So this gives us a way that we can be 100% tapped out, attacking with all of our creatures, and still surprise our opponent, not just with a little bit of damage, but by powering up all of our Prowess creatures. Speaking of free Prowess triggers, Mutagenic Growth is one of the most powerful cards in our deck, especially combined with Temur Battle Rage. These cards give us a pretty legit nut draw, where there are times we just play a Prowess creature, play some cantrips, chip in for some damage, and eventually we just go like Mutagenic Growth, Temur Battle Rage, and we hit our opponent for like 15 damage or some ridiculous amount of damage. The thing you gotta remember with Mutagenic Growth is it's basically pay to life, give any of our Prowess creatures +3/+3, which is a huge boost of power and toughness, plus it's also pumping our other Prowess creatures +1/+1, making a Pyromancer token. So 2 Mutagenic Growths is actually +6/+6, throw in Temur Battle Rage, plus the Prowess trigger that gives, that's +7/+7, our creatures all have power, so that's an 8 power double striking trampling creature, that's 16 damage, all by itself, even with tramples, so that's a lot of damage coming across. So Mutagenic Growth gives us a way to steal games out of nowhere, also really helpful in saving our creatures. Sometimes we cast a Swift Spear on turn 1, we go attacking, our opponent tries to Lightning Bolt it, we just Mutagenic Growth, even though we don't have any mana, get out of Lightning Bolt range, get in a big hit of damage, so very, very powerful in the deck. Otherwise, we have just a couple of remands, a little expensive for the budget, but very strong in the deck since it's a cantrip that also kind of tempos our opponent by returning the spell to their hand. We can also do some sweet tricks to get more Prowess triggers, where we like cast our Mutagenic Growth to get a Prowess trigger, remand our own Mutagenic Growth to get it back to our hand so we can cast it again to get another Prowess trigger. So it lets us get these weird Storm-esque Prowess triggers stacked up thanks to bouncing our own stuff. Mana base, a little bit janky. Blue-red decks have really expensive lands in Modern, so we have Shivan Reef, we have City of Brass as untapped dual lands, along with a bunch of basic lands. The main qualification of being a land in our deck is you gotta come into play untapped. If this deck, more so than a lot of budget Magic decks, just cannot afford any lands that come into play tap. We gotta have untapped lands, because our deck is looking to kill our opponent maybe turn 3, turn 4, in that range, and once the game goes super, super long, we have a much lower chance of winning, so we really need untapped lands. As far as the sideboard, Spell Pierce gives us a great tempo counter spell, good against control, protects our stuff from removal, triggers Prowess for a mana. Searing Blood gives us additional removal for creature decks against other little creature decks, also gets in some damage. Since we are not playing fetch lands, kind of hard to play Searing Blaze, which is better in a world of fetch lands, but Searing Blood, pretty good imitation for our deck. Smash to Smithereens, Artifact Destruction, also dealing some damage to our opponent, good against Affinity, helps against Tron. Then we have Skullcrack as another damage spell, but it's mostly there to prevent life gain. A little expensive for just 3 damage, but it helps against Kitchen Finks, any other big life gain spells that might be in the format, Thragtusk and Timely Reinforcements and so forth. Plus it's triggering Prowess along the way. And then Tormod's Crypt as our budget graveyard hate spell for Dredge and Snapcaster decks and all that kind of stuff. And that is Blue-Red Prowess for Modern, and that's our Budget Magic deck for this week. So I think this deck is actually really fun. I've been really impressed by how much better the deck is with Opt. Having an instant speed cantrip is a huge deal for this deck, and while we don't win every game, no one wins every game in Modern, we're definitely competitive, and a lot of games are super close. And if you like aggro, spell slingerish type decks, you're probably going to really like this one. Like, for example, if you like the Temur Miracle Grow deck that we played in Standard, this is kind of the budget Modern version of that deck, where you're looking to play a few creatures that aren't that big, but make them into really huge threats thanks to throwing around a bunch of spells. Plus, we can win some games thanks to our direct damage. We don't have to get in the full 20 points of damage. If we can get in, 15 points of damage, somewhere in that range, even 12 points of damage, we can often close out the game with the lightning bolts and the rift bolts and even the gut shots. So it's a really sweet, fun deck to play, just throwing spells around everywhere, pretty competitive, and if you like this style of deck, I think you'll have fun with it. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Let's get to the video so you can see how it plays. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the gameplay videos, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, take a second and click that like button down below. It's a great way to help support the channel for free. And you can find the next video in the playlist right here.